and the land whereon thou liest, to thee will I give it to thy seed. And thy seed shall be as the dust of the earth, and thou shalt spread abroad to the west, and to the east, and to the north, and to the south. And in thee and in thy seed shall all the families of the earth be blessed. And behold, I am with thee, and I will keep thee in all places whither thou goest, and will bring thee again into the land. For I will not leave thee until I have done that which I have spoken to thee of. And Jacob awakened out of his sleep and said, Surely the Lord is in this place, and I knew it not. Thank you for standing for the reading. And like I said, got a simple thought on my heart tonight. And if I could title this, simply title it, Overcome the Hard Places. I thought here in verse 1 of this chapter, we find Isaac, and he's called Jacob, and he's blessed him, and he's charged him and said unto him, Thou shalt not take a wife of the daughters of Canaan. And I thought we look at this and in this chapter, and there's a lot that takes place here, and we know the life of Jacob and the things that he's done, his deceptions, and all the things about Jacob. But he was still chosen by God. He was still there was a path that God had chosen for Jacob to go. And we find here that Jacob, like I said, he's receiving his blessing. Don't you just love it when a blessing comes your way? That's right. I thought I do. I love it when a good blessing comes my way. And I thought, but after the good blessing, sometimes it feels like that you're on top of the world after those blessings come by. And I thought it seems like that everything is just going your way while the blessings is good. And no doubt Jacob, as he left his father and he received his blessing, he began to think about the things that he was going to do and the things in his life and how that God was blessing him. And I thought, and there's a lot of things in our life that we look to, and there's a lot of blessings in our lives. But the problem is sometimes it's easy to forget the blessings.
That's right.
I thought we go on in verse 7 of this chapter, and we find it says, and Jacob obeyed his father and his mother, and he was gone to Padanaram. I think that's how you pronounce that. But Jacob told him not to marry, take a wife of the daughters of Canaan. Told him to go back to his uncle's house and back to Laban's house and to find him a wife. And so now we find Jacob, he's received his blessing. And now in verse 7 we find Jacob going to pursue his future. I thought Isaac tells him that it's necessary for him to marry the lineage, not to get mixed up in the Canaanites and get himself all messed up, and so he's going after and he's going after that future. Yeah. Oh, sometimes we look and our future seems the song is saying, "My future looks bright, the way is clear. Been to the river and I'm taking however it goes." And I know sometimes whenever things is going good for us, it's easy to look ahead to the future. It's easy to look ahead to things that we're looking on for. And I thought, but it's in those hard times that sometimes it begins to look dark. And I thought, getting on into my text, and I thought in verse 11 that we read, it says, "And he lighted upon a certain place, and he tarried there all night." I thought, I began to think about that certain place. It was not a place that was given a name. It was not a place of significance. It was just a certain place. It was a certain place that Jacob had found himself. And I thought, have you ever been in that certain place? I thought, and I thought, it's not where you really want to be. It's not where you're headed. I thought, but it's a place where night has fallen. So you can't see the direction direction, and you're just there. And I thought I began to think about that certain place. I thought there's times in my life that I have come upon that certain place. I thought it's not a pleasant place to be. I thought that the Bible read that it was not a place of comfort. Jacob gathered up some rocks to lay his head upon. I thought that certain place is not nowhere that we're desiring to be. But yes, it's necessary sometimes just to get there. So that we can stop and realize the direction God wants us to be. I thought, like I said, it said that he came up on it for night. He came up on it because the sun was set. I thought sometimes whenever it gets dark, I used to, I didn't mind as much, but I know when you talk about it, you're just in your 40s. People say you're not old. But the older I get, the less I like to drive of a night. Number one is I'm a morning person. And I get up early. And so whenever it gets dark, I'm like an old chicken. I'm ready to go roost. I'm ready to go to bed. And the other night, Sister Cathy and I, it was cold outside, and snowing. And I got off work early. And because it was slow, and I went home, and we'd sit around the house for a long time. And directly we went in and got our baths and got ready to go to bed. I looked over, and it was 7:30. And I said, man, it's still early. And but I thought, but saying all that, I don't like to travel overnight. And you throw a little rain in there, and it makes it even worse. Your vision is messed up, and you can't see as good. And I've also, therefore, a lot of times we don't like to travel. Some people like it, but I don't. But Jacob here, he come up on the night. The sun was set. It was dark. He couldn't see the direction. So he comes upon this certain place. Right. And I thought, like I said, it's not comfortable there, but it's necessary for Jacob to be there. But in verse 16, it says, and Jacob awakened, after he saw the angels ascending and descending on the ladder and seen all the things that was taking place. And Jacob awakened out of his sleep and said, surely the Lord is in this place. And I knew it not. Yeah. And sometimes we look at those places that we're in that we'd rather not be in. But it's necessary because the Lord is in that place. It's a place where God has got us, where He could give us some direction for our life. Jacob had just received a blessing from his father. Now Jacob's going on to pursue a wife and to start a future. But it was in that place, that certain place, that it was necessary for Jacob to be. I thought many times we get our mind on the places where we're in, and we're like Jacob, we fail to see that God is in the place. But I thought we're in a place tonight where God is needing us. Come on, Sister Cathy.
Overcoming the hard places, part 2. In 1 Kings chapter 19, verses 5 through 8, talking about Elijah here, it says, and as he lay and slept under a juniper tree, behold, then an angel touched him and said unto him, arise and eat. And he looked, and behold, there was a cake baking on the coals, and a cruse of water at his head. And he did eat and drink, and laid him down again. And the angel of the Lord came again the second time, and touched him, and said, arise and eat, because the journey is too great for thee. And he arose and did eat and drink, and went in the strength of that meat 40 days, and 40 nights unto Horeb, the mount of God. We have Elijah here, and he's sleeping. Brother Mitchell just told us about Jacob asleep at night, and he has a visitation from heaven, and it wakes him up, and he gets up and goes on his way. I was reading here about Elijah, and it says here in verse 5 that Elijah's asleep under a juniper tree, and he has a visitation from heaven. An angel comes and touches him, tells him to get up and eat. We read that Elijah does just that, gets up and he eats. He drinks his water. Then it says, and he laid down again. I read across that and I thought, really? How? How could you be laying there asleep and an angel from heaven come by and wake you up and say, I fixed you something to eat. Get up and eat. And you go ahead and get up and you eat that food prepared just for you by heaven itself, and then turn right around and lay back down. Turn right around and lay back down. And I've been thinking on that for a while, and I realized I see that quite often. And we have people that'll be right in the presence of God. God He'll feed them from the Word, from the music. There's been times I've been fed right during the singing, just in a good service, and manna from heaven will be poured out upon us. And we'll just be in the presence of God, and it'll be so good. And you'll see some that they'll wake up, and they'll get up, and you'll see that they're shaking, and then they're stirred, and they'll say, okay, this is good. And then we watch them lay right back down. So what I've got here is, if you're going to overcome the hard places, don't lay back down. Don't lay back down. Don't lay back down. Get up. And I was thinking about Elijah here, and this is right after he's come off Mount Carmel, right after that amazing victory that they had up there. And then he faces Jezebel, and Jezebel just kind of takes the sap right out of him, lets him know that she's going to do everything within her power to see him killed. And so he goes, and it says that he went a day's journey into the wilderness, and he came and sat down under that juniper tree, and he requested for himself that he might die. And he said, it is enough. It's just enough. This is enough. And in my mind, I just see Elijah just drained. You ever felt drained?
Oh, yeah.
You just feel drained. And as I've been praying over this and really trying to get a hold of this, I feel like there's some here that are drained. I know there's some here that are drained. And I'm just going to tell you the way that it came to me when I was down praying. And you know, things come to me strange sometimes when I'm down praying. Because I was down, you know, you can go to a restaurant and they give you your glass and they fill it up and they put that straw in it. And you can sit there and you can drink out of that glass. And everything's fine until that glass is drained. And when that glass becomes drained and you still suck out that straw, it makes some of the awfulest noises that you've ever heard. I guarantee you that the waitresses hate that sound. That cup being drained.
Come on.
I've been out with Kylan or some of the kids, and they enjoy doing that. And you'll have to say, stop that. Because it's one of those sounds that just irritates you, that gets on you. You know, when we become drained, sometimes we can make some sounds that are just not good sounds. They're just not the right sounds to be made. And it's only because we're drained. We're just drained. And so we've got these sounds coming, you know, there's different things that can drain you. Life itself can drain you. Things that you have no control over, life, your family, a job, things like this that can just drain you and wear you out. Yes. Then there's other things that can drain you that you do have control over. It can be sin in your life, or it can be just things that you've allowed just to come right on in and just to drain you and sap you. Things you yourself have allowed. That's right. And you know you have. And you just allowed them to come on in, and God's dealt with you and says that's not going to be good for you. But in yourself, you don't see any way to really get out of it. And before you know it, you're drained. And before you know it, you're making sounds. Elijah here, this wasn't the sound he should have been making. He should have been sitting under this juniper tree and saying, Lord, just let me die. Come on, just let me die. Oh, Lord, it's enough. I've just had enough. That's the sound of being drained. Yes. Because you see, that wasn't God's will for Elijah's life whatsoever. Right. God didn't have a plan for Elijah to die. That wasn't, Elijah couldn't see that. He just knew that all the way down, people died. And so he just said, I'm done. I'm just ready to die. But God knew out down the road, Elijah was going to be taken out of here, but he wasn't going to do it through death. And God said, you don't understand what I've got for you. You're just drained right now. You're just sitting there and you're drained right now. And so Elijah lays down and he goes to sleep. And God, knowing that he's drained, he sends that heavenly visitor by. And that heavenly visitor prepares him something to eat. Yeah. Oh my, how many times God's come by and he's fed me when I've been so drained. Right. And he shook me a little bit. He said, if you'll get up and eat this, it'll help you if you'll get up and eat this. Just get up and eat. I feel like he's done that time and time again in our services. That there's been food right here. And he shook some of you and he said, if you just eat. But get up and eat. You know, I don't know if I've ever had breakfast in bed. You hear about that people. God doesn't give us breakfast in bed. Get up and eat. He's not going to feed us laying down. It's time for you to get up and eat. And so when we read Elijah did that, but the problem came when Elijah laid back down. He laid back down. I thought when Laura was little, she hates me telling stories on her, but she's given me so many. But when she was young and we was homeschooling, and I'd go in there and I'd flip that light on and Lord, get up. She was not, I don't know how she is now, she was not a morning person at all. She didn't take after me and Brother Mitchell. She's not a morning person. Oh, she would turn over and you could hear the sounds coming out of her. And I'd have to keep going back. And keep going back. Laura, you up yet? And she just, and finally I'd just go in there and she'd turn around and she'd say, why? Laura, we got to homeschool. You got to get up. You got to get going. It's to tell her what time it is. You know, and in my mind, reading over this, we're told here in verse 7, and the angel of the Lord came again the second time and touched him and said, arise and eat. I can just picture Elijah turning over and saying, why? Why? Just tell me why. Here's what the angel told him. Because the journey is too great for thee. And I thought, boy, that just makes you want to get up, don't it? That just makes you want to wake right up. That'd be like going to somebody and they said, come on, get up. It's time to get up. Because you're fixing to have a terrible day. That's not going to make them want to get up. But you know, the thing is, life happens. It's going to happen. You're going to have good days. You're going to have bad days. That's just the way it's going to be. But you can either lay down and let it overwhelm you, or you can get up, eat, and face it all with strength straight from heaven. That's the choice that you got. Lay right there and have a very hard time overcoming those hard places. Let it all just overwhelm you. You know, you see those that just say, hey, I've just had too much. It's all just hit me at once. I've just got too much. A lot of times they're just laying there, and it's overwhelming them, and they just lay there. I can't. I just can't. But get up. The angel came back the second time and said, come on, Elijah, get up. You don't understand. You've got to get up. You've got to eat. The journey is too great for thee. Come on. And you know, I'd love to stand up here and say, come on, get up, because we're fixing to have us the time of our life. What I felt God dealing with me is to tell us, we better get up, because the journey's fixing to get too great for thee. No, that's not what we want to hear. That's not the message we want. But if you can understand the mercy of God in that message, and he looks ahead and he sees that it's going to get rough. But if you'll get up and you'll eat the things I've got prepared for you, you're going to have strength to make it through those times that is too great for thee, because they're not too great for me. That's what God's wanting to tell you. If you'll get up and you'll eat, yeah, the journey's too great for thee. It is. You can't do it. But it ain't too great for him. And we can read where it says that he arose and did eat and drink and went in the strength of that meat 40 days and 40 nights. Elijah, this journey's too great for you. But you eat this food. You eat what I've got prepared for you. You get up and you just go. You go ahead and go. Even though it looks like it looks hard. If you'll go, you'll see that you can go in the strength that I've given you. You can go like you can't even imagine going. You can go in ways that you've never gone before. You'll have strength like you've never known before. You can overcome those hard places because you stayed up You didn't lay back down. You didn't let the enemy come by and just say, come on, just lay down a while. You know, you really deserve a rest. Just you've had it hard. Lay down a while. The enemy just wants you to lay down a while because he knows if you get up and you've got the strength of the Lord on you, he can't do a thing with you. If you stay laying down, then he can overwhelm you. He can just come through and he can just overwhelm you while you're still laying there. Right. You get up and you go in the strength of the Lord's meat. He can't do a thing with you. You're going to outrun. You're going to outrun whatever comes your way. You're going to go further than it can go in God's strength. Got one story for you here. Y'all may remember this. It was January 2014, Birmingham, Alabama, and there was a snowstorm that hit. And that's not normal in Birmingham, Alabama, and so they're not prepared for that. And so things were really bad at that time. And there was a doctor, Dr. Zinko, and he was working at Brookwood Medical Center. And while he was there, he got a call from Trinity Medical Center 6 miles away and said, we need you to come now. We've had a man brought in with a serious brain injury. You're on call, and there's nobody else. And so he said, I'll be right there. He didn't realize how bad it was outside. So he went out and he got in his car, and he tried to take off, but the roads, the way he described it, like parking lots. The cars couldn't go anywhere, and they just all stopped. And so he's on the cell phone with the other hospital telling them, we can't even get down the road. He said, but I'll do my best to get there. And the only thing he knew to do was get out of his car and walk. And so he got out and he started walking. And in that snow, and that was still coming down, and it wasn't easy. And it took him 5 hours to walk those 6 miles to that other hospital. But after 5 hours' time, he walked through the doors. He went straight to the family, told them he made it. He was going to do his best to help. And he went straight into surgery after walking through the snowstorm for 5 hours. And he went and he did that surgery, performed it, and everything went well. And the man lived. But the news agencies got a hold of that story, and they began to report that. And the one question that really stood out to me was when they asked him, why? Why'd you do that? And this was his answer. He said, if I hadn't, he would have died. And I wasn't going to let that happen on my watch. Ooh, there's people depending on us. Ooh.
Come on.
We can lay down. We can lay down. We can just say enough. And we can lay down. We don't even have to backslide to the degree that we just go out there and start doing awful things. We can just slow down, sit on our pew, let somebody else, and lay down. But somebody's going to die.
Uh-huh.
Somebody, are you going to let that happen on your watch? Are you going to let that happen on your watch? Somebody's depending on you. There's somebody out there that needs to hear what God gives you to say. There's somebody out there that needs to feel what the presence of God dealing with them while He's working through you to reach them. Are you going to let them die on your watch? Yeah, it's easier sometimes just to sit down. I call myself sometimes what I call is turtle syndrome. I just want to back up into my shell and just stay there. Sometimes that's easier. Most of the time that's easier.
Oh, yeah.
But that ain't God's ways. It would have been so much easier, and people would have understood and just said, well, that we understand. If he'd stayed right there at that other hospital and just kept doing what needed to be done there, but he'd been called.
That's right.
Come on.
Oh, God. Yes, Lord.
He'd been called.
Hallelujah, hallelujah.
He got a call that said, I need you over here. And he felt something inside of him when that call came that said, I got to do it. He felt something inside of him that said, whatever it takes, I'll get there. Whatever it takes, I'll do what needs to be done. And when he started that way, it wasn't easy. When he started that way, it looked like everything in front of him stopped. My. It looked like everything that he had to go past was just all sitting still. Nothing moving. Nothing try. It'd just be easier not to try. But he wasn't going to lay down. He said, well, if I can't do it driving, then I'm going to have to put a little bit more effort into this.
Yes.
I'm going to have to push through some things. You ever tried to walk in snow? That ain't easy to do. He said, I'm going to push through some things. 5 hours he walked. 5 hours he pushed. 5 hours he pushed. I'm sure that he was wore out when he got to that other hospital.
Yeah.
But his task was just starting when he got to that other hospital. He had pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. And then when he went through that door, and he said, I'm here now, and he went down, his task was just starting. Now it was time to start surgery. Never done brain surgery, but I'm sure it ain't easy. And things that I've read, it takes a lot out of you. He knew that because he'd done it before. So he was prepared for the task ahead of him, knowing this ain't going to be easy. But he went into it, and he did it the best that he could. And I believe he probably had some help from heaven that day. He had to have. You know, we can get help from heaven if we'll push. If we'll push through, and we don't lay down, and we don't sit down, and we don't give up, and we don't give in, we'll get some help from heaven.
Yes.
And then things will be done that we can't do on our own.
Come on. Right.
So what about you? You going to let somebody die on your watch?
Oh, God. Dear Lord, dear Lord, dear Lord.
Tell you what, I feel like I've really talked to somebody tonight. I really do. You just tell. Right now, you're drained, you're wore out, and it's so much easier just not to. And yeah, you got a lot of things that you can bring out and say, well, this and this, and it's because of this, and I can't for this, and are you going to let somebody die on your watch? Push that away. Push every one of those excuses away. God can take care of every excuse if you'll give it to Him. You can say, God, but what about this? He'll take it and say, I can handle that. But God, what about this? I can handle that. But Lord, what about this? How am I going to do it with this, Lord? I can handle that. Right. He's speaking to you right now. He can handle that.
Yes, He can.
Ain't one thing you can bring up before Him and say, but Lord, this is the reason I can't. Ain't one thing you can give Him like that He look down and say, oh yeah, you're right. I can't handle. No, He's not going. He can look at it and say, I can handle that.
Yes.
I can help you with that. Somebody get us a song. You can overcome the hard places. They're real. I know they are. Yes, there's hard places. But you can overcome them if you'll get up and you won't lay back down. If you'll stay up, you'll eat. If you'll eat and then go.
Yes, that's right.
This altar's open tonight.
Yes.
You don't have to take your time getting here either. Pushing through those snowstorms wouldn't be easy.
Right.
And there's one right in front of you right now. It feels like every step you take with your feet right now would feel so heavy. But you're going to have to do it. Or somebody's going to die on your watch. There's somebody depending on you that you're going to have to get to. You're going to have to get to them. You're going to have to get to them. Or they're going to die on your watch. Come to the altar. Eat tonight. Rise up and eat, for the journey is too great for thee.